Hi, Suzanne from Flatwearable Artisan Jewelry. I want to show you another method for doing the styluses. And this method was shared to us by Tammy Freed. She was telling us that her and her husband are putting a nut in the end here. So I played around with it a little bit, and I'm going to show you what I came up with along the lines of what Tammy shared. But I took it just a little bit further. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a nut that is, the size of it is metric. And it is, find it here, it is a 5 millimeter. So it's called M5. Instead of saying 5 millimeter, they call it M5. It's M5 by 0.8. So you'll want to pick up nuts like that. Make sure you get the zinc coated ones. Do not get the stainless steel. They don't solder as well, and they're more expensive anyway. So what I did, so it's not easiest to work with the nut by itself. So I put it onto a bolt, same size bolt, M5 by 0.8. Put it on the bolt there. You're going to have to find the knife handles with the smaller openings, and you want to round it out as much as possible. And how I did that was pressing in the punch. If you can't get it opened enough, you can always set it into the vise, hit it with a hammer to get that round enough. You want to have a really nice round opening, and you want to have quite a snug fit. And I've also found that if I take off some of the cornering on the outside, that it fits in a little bit better. What you don't want to have is a lot of gap, because solder does not effectively fill in gaps. So you want to have as tight of a fit as you can possibly get. So I would take the nut and I would use it on my vertical belt sander and just rotate it around while it's running, so I could get those edges a little more smoothed off so they weren't quite so sharp, and that this would fit in better. You want a really nice snug fit. Okay, then you'll take this out and you're going to solder. I've already got one set up in the soldering station, so we're going to go over there and I'm going to show you the soldering. Alright, this one here, I'll let Haley get a nice good close-up of it. You can see that it's fit in there quite well. There's very, very little gap. You really want as little gap as you can have. Like I said, solder does not effectively fill gaps. I'm using the solder that we carry, rosin core, lead-free solder, and I'm going to warm it up with the little torch, a little butane torch, and we're just going to use the solder wire and feed it in right around the edges. I'm keeping my heat close by, so you can go around and feed it in right between. Oh, I got a little on the side there. Feed it in right between the nut and the handle. Got a little extra solder there that I don't really want. Can use, this is called a solder wick. If you ever get too much solder and you need to remove it, you can use a solder wick, and what it does is it sucks up the excess solder. Solder is not quite hot enough. You can see how the solder wick sucks up the excess solder. That's less mess for you to have to deal with afterwards. You can pick up the solder wick on Amazon. Okay, so I've got the solder in there. Now I'm going to quench this. Actually, I'll just go ahead and spray it. Just cool it off real quick. I'm going to still have to quench it because it's still quite warm, so I'm going to quench it. Alright, shake the water out. So, this is what you're going to look like at this point. And I find that I like to grind this down nice and smooth to make this look a lot more presentable. So I'm going to do that here. Fiber wheel to finish that. Okay. And you can see that that's soldered pretty well. One little tiny gap in there, but nothing substantial. And then all you're going to do is you're going to screw the tip in. Okay. And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.